What's going on, guys? I have Crimson Payne. This is our villain figure from Project Analysis, still written by Paul Thayer, and we're just going to get a little bit more information as to what our villain character, our big bad, he's been up to. And so we'll just open up. We see that in this one shot, this is in between issues 0 and 1. So this is right after he annihilated an entire city, more or less. He's killed like 90 million people by this point. He's wiped out half of the guild, which is like the superhero team of it, and killed their figurehead, Odysseus, who more or less is like Superman. And so, getting right on into it, we're still in the year 2090, so this is before Project Analysis has been fully established. And we see Crimson, he's just kind of looking at all the news reports. We got death to Odysseus, 98 million dead. And he said, well, some would think that this is a good place to stop, with 90 million down. And this is actually just the start, the beginning. And he is wanting to go to the Goliath prison and break out all the people who stood up to the force. Basically, he just wants to break out all the people who are like powerful. He's trying to start an army. And so that's what he's setting off to do. We cut over to the Goliath prison, and we meet Zion, who is getting some new orders and letting him know, hey, our protocol now is we're responding to the ULN. Everything that is now no longer, with the three nations. So we need to respond to the ULN, and the mission is to guard the Goliath, the prison. We are currently waking up Gaia, who's, in a multi-year slumber. We're not sure how long she's asleep, but we know through this dialogue here that she's being woken up 2 years too early. So this kind of reminded me a little bit of like Underworld, how the vampires would take, like all the leaders of the vampire society would kind of take turns sleeping while the others lead on. So some can rest while others lead for several years at a time. At least that's the understanding I had. The concern, of course, is she's being woken up early. Will she be at full strength? And it's like, well, we don't have a whole lot of options. Half the guild members are gone. And he does bring up, what about the other half? Oh, they're out taking care of things due to all the death and destruction. Now, I have a little bit of issue with this, and I'm not entirely certain if this is genuine truth or not, because it seems like she is being kind of vague to Zion here. I don't know the name of this character, but it does seem like she's being vague. Now, her excuse for the other 12 guild members not being there is that they're helping take care of some of the damage and destruction, which I get that. I totally understand, they're trying to help others, but this individual who is coming is responsible for causing all of that. I would think that he is a primary target, and I kind of start to feel like maybe Crimson is correct on this one. I'll get to that here in a second, but if what she says is true and that they're just simply going around, I'm like, I get that that's a need, but wiping out the source of what is causing all of this is probably, I would imagine, takes higher priority. So, moving on, we cut over with Crimson here. He's running on water to get out to Goliath prison. And he says that he expected the guild members to, come out and challenge him. But he calls them all cowards. Now, I'm starting to think that perhaps he is correct in that assessment, that they're actually now in fear of him because he's killed Odysseus. That is my assumption on this, because why the hell else would they not be there? I think they're out helping from all the destruction, that's a little bit of a cop-out when he is the sole reason why this has happened. Little guard towers pop up and, try to wipe him out. And of course, he easily gets rid of those and moves on his way. He's He's like, yeah, I ain't got time for these little guard towers. It's bullshit. Get out of here. We got a guard over here freaking out a little bit. And Zion's like, hey, just relax. We got this. We're going to handle it. And Rifter, he's over here, and we see him up here first. He's over here. He's kind of taunting everybody. He's like, yeah, you should just let me out now. I'll make sure that your deaths are quick. Certainly quicker than what Crimson would do. And they have a little exchange about Gaia, and that Rifter is saying, the people that you work for know that this is a lost cause. That's why they sent their weakest link to protect everything. And, Zion's just not buying any of it. He's like, I'll personally deal with Crimson Payne myself. And that is when Crimson Payne comes through. And he's like, I'm gonna remove your head, yada, yada, yada. And Zion's like, well, I know all your moves, and there's no way that you're gonna beat me. So he blasts him. Zion blasts Crimson, goes through the walls, and Crimson's like, yep, time to turn the tables. A punch is thrown, dodged, and Crimson is able to quickly knock out one of the arms of Zion. So, boom, there that goes. And hits him in the back. And Zion's like, I'm not a mindless puppet, as Crimson's accusing him. I have free will. I choose to fight for humanity. And Crimson says, you call this place humanity. You lock away enhance and test them for a giant experiment, and you see no wrong. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Crimson's got a point there. Again, his motives are a bit on the skewed side. So, and Crimson does a little circle around event, blasts off Zion's head, and there we go. Zion, bye. We then cut underneath the sea. And it says the Chamber of the Queen burst out. Out they go. Or out she goes. And we are introduced to Gaia, the Queen of the Sea. And, yeah, she wants to know where the person responsible for killing Odysseus is, her brother. So, the guards are freaking out, are calling to, their HQ and saying, hey, Zion's dead. Rifter is now free. He just blasts people. This poor bastard, he got blasted apart. His entrails sitting right there. Pretty bloody. Goes over and releases Banshee. And he says to her, we got some reckoning to do. Now Gaia has made it into the prison and tells all these guys to go back to their cells. And this big guy, he's like, fuck off. I ain't doing that. And so Gaia gets her slice and dice on, and then demands that the rest go back into their cells or die. So yeah, she ain't dealing with their shit. Rifter and Banshee make their way out to Gaia, kind of mockingly. We're like, hey, what about this whole not killing thing? I thought that was a rule amongst you heroes. She said, when millions have died, killing is the only choice that they have. And Rifter he's kind of happy. He's like, millions, you say? Well, that's good. And basically talks about how it's time to take their revenge on the world. And she's like, revenge? I will show you revenge. We cut over and see that Crimson's logging into the computer systems. And basically what we're finding out is all of the guild members have little trackers in all of their armor. And he is getting all this information, putting it on a drive, and realizes Gaia is there. And he's like, well, time to go do to her what I did to Odysseus. And we see Rifter and Banshee are really outmatched by Gaia here. So we've seen how powerful those two are, so we get an idea of how powerful she is. Well, that fight gets interrupted. Crimson comes over and gives a nice form tackle to Gaia, throws her right through a fucking wall. And she's like, well, if you think Me waking up 2 years early means I'm somehow weaker. You are sadly mistaken. Crimson's like, well, good, I'm looking for a fight. Let's go. And so the two have it out. And I want to really quickly say, I really kind of like Gaia's weapon here. So we have two axes, but she'll put them together and form an energy sword as well. It's pretty sweet. I like that design. So yeah, the two are having it out, and she's like, I'm here to avenge all the fallen guild members, and Crimson's just happy that there's somebody of the guild that wants to fight and not just cower away, like you said. The other, I guess 11 at this point, since she's willing to fight, are just out in hiding, as he puts it. And so he does this little speeder thing. And Crimson Payne gets to putting the whoop ass on Gaia here. He hits her with his little claw fist. She gets all bloodied up. See a nice bloody face right there. Then he does his little run around, before finally punching a hole square through her and grabbing her spine. Like, that's her spine right there. I don't know if it's coming through quite as well, but yeah, she done got fucked up. He shows it to the guards before slamming her head down, and yeah, you just see, man, that's some graphic stuff right there, man. That is rough. Now, Crimson offers an option for all of these guard members. He's like, what has happened here? That's not on you guys. You can join us, be a Payne Patriot, and join us. And it honestly looks like everybody has decided, yeah, I'm gonna just join Crimson Payne, as opposed to go against him at this point. And again, one of the things I can say about Payne is he does seem like he is a leader who cares about those on his side, as we've seen in other issues, especially when we've seen Rifter die. How he took that to heart. Like, that really bothered him. He didn't just shrug it off and nothing, no biggie. So he does have a way of articulating himself where you can understand how people would want to follow him. And so we cut over to 3 months from then, and we're in Antarctica. And Rifter, he's just trying to get an idea of what's happening now. What are we up to at this point? And Crimson basically just tells him, now we're just hunting down the last of the guild members, those who were smart enough to take their armor off and thus be rid of their tracker, are a little trickier to find, but the last guild member kind of told them, hey, this is where they're at. And so they're looking at where to find them next. And that's where this issue ends. And yeah, Crimson, he is, man, he is formidable. He is one to be reckoned with. I genuinely enjoy just seeing that he's got no time to waste. He will dispatch very powerful individuals. He is a man on a mission, and he's a lunatic. And you're ready to see what all it's going to take to bring him down, and just how many will fall before him before this actually happens. So, very good issue. I would put it as give it like a 9 out of 10. A slight nitpick that I had there with the whole explanation as to what's going on. I'm like, okay, I can't really tell if it was being honest or not, so I'm not really holding too much against it on that. If it was the honest truth, then yeah, that's a slight issue. It's like, okay, other things are far more important, like trying to get rid of Crimson Payne, who's responsible for almost 100 million people being killed. So, but yeah, I really didn't have any issues. I thought for a second I was going to have an issue with Zion there. It looked like we had some continuity issues as far as his arm cannon, but you do see that he can switch that on and off. So I have no issues there. Outside of that, I really didn't have any issues for the writing or anything within as far as continuity. So all look pretty good. So I would very much recommend this one, and if this is something you guys want to check out, be sure to check the link in the description where you can get a copy for yourself, or at least 2 to follow should a second chance campaign arise. But that is all I have for today, guys, so until next time, take care and God bless.